I didn't expect to be doing yet another video that is slightly anti-America. I'll get to the point. This isn't personal. None of this is personal. I like Americans, so it's like a contradiction in itself. But we'll get to it. So this is about the TikTok ban. But there's part of it that I've always found quite. It's almost like humorous if it wasn't so freaking bad. Let's just get to the point of this, really, because what I want to say. There's a video here. This journalist is talking about the fact that the Supreme Court is likely to rule against TikTok, and it's TikTok's last stand before it gets banned. So there's people that were speaking up but in a positive way, saying how TikTok benefits people with free speech. But America is worried about a platform being in the hands of a foreign nation. And that's where I find laughable. I know China is like a potential adversary to America, so I get that. But my worry there is not just is it just that, or is it just any country? Because the arrogance from America is quite crazy. I'll try and skip it. It's not my video. It's not a long video. I don't want to take someone's video away from them.
Questions about national security, so they're clearly more concerned about that. Have expressed their concerns about content being manipulated on the platform and data collection. But TikTok has always argued that the Chinese government doesn't have a role in the company. It doesn't have any say on what's being shown.
So I don't want to take too much of someone's video, to be honest. So where I just find it humorous, though, is the fact that if you look at social media in general, I don't know all the platforms, but I think if we just look in general, they're American-owned. So you've got YouTube, which is Google, American-owned. You've got Facebook, Meta, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays, American-owned. You've got Twitter, Elon Musk, American-owned. You've got, what's the other one? The Blue Sky now, is it? The alternative? American-owned. Instagram is part of Facebook, Meta. Wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute. The only way social media can exist in this world is if an American company own it. You are. So it becomes funny because that means for people to connect around the world, for everybody to be able to connect together, America must own it. Otherwise, America will block access. So America won't participate unless they're like the bully in the playground. They're an absolute joke. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's so pathetic. Like when you really break it down to yourself, you go, "Who the hell? The arrogance." I talk about the arrogance of America so much, and it just freaking astounds me. It's time and time again. Is it just because it's China, or would it happen to another country? Let's say someone like the Netherlands. Let's say an app from the Netherlands was. I think you'd have the same problem from America. I don't think it matters what country has it. Even if someone in the UK had an app, I think America would be doing everything they can to try and buy that app behind the scenes anyway. You know, it's just I find America quite baffling. I really do. So if every nation took the same stance America's doing, that would mean social media could potentially only exist within a single nation. So only those within a nation can communicate with each other. There would be no external interactions. If everybody chose to do that, and I talk about this a lot, it's like, for instance, it's similar to people who have to have a window seat on a plane. They're adamant they have to have a window seat. So if the people in your party say, well, I want a window seat, then you're going to have to sit on your own. But they don't expect you to do that. They expect you to give up. They give in because they're going to be stubborn. They're going to be selfish. It's the same thing. So if you was to go and sit in a different seat and go and sit in a row behind and have the window seat, that person now has to sit next to a stranger. They won't like it. But for the most part, they just get away with it all the time because they throw the biggest tantrum. That's America. They throw the biggest tantrum. It's like, wait a minute, this is crazy. So like I say, if everybody played by the same rules as America, everybody would just be independent. Every social media application would be independent to a country, and there'd be no interaction between states. There'd be no countries interacting with each other, the populations. And effectively, that's what America's creating, isn't it? They're creating that. So I'm really intrigued how this develops, to be totally honest, because America is a big portion, and the people themselves, for the most part, are not the problem. There is a level of arrogance amongst a majority of the population. But again, it's just what they've done. It's just how they're brought up, I guess. And there's a lack of awareness geographically from the outside looking in America. It seems like the majority don't understand the rest of the world. If you show them, I've said it recently, if you show them a map, they wouldn't have a clue. Now, maybe people become more educated now. Maybe through TikTok they are. That's great. but soon may lose that access. And I think really, I was all for it in the sense that I think TikTok, when this was announced early on, I thought for the love of God, TikTok should hold firm. Do not let America bully you. That was I did a video and I said that specifically. Do not let hope for God they don't let America bully them, because it sets a very, very worrying precedent where America overrule everything. America needs to see they do not govern everything in this world. So TikTok is a huge app and it will exist beyond America. It would be a huge loss to lose a massive audience. But America needs to realize that everybody's not going to play along. So they're obviously what they're going to plan for then is to create an alternative to TikTok if it was to go through, and expect what they expecting then. And they expect, of course, they'll expect Americans. It's just sounding like China, where you can only have an intranet. It's not internet, it's intranet. You can only have an internal connection that stays within the borders. It doesn't get to leak out anywhere else. It's almost like that because you can't guarantee, if America was to create an alternative platform, you can't always assume that other nations, for instance, someone like me, you can't assume that I'm just going to jump on it. I don't like Instagram. I'm barely on it. I don't like it. It's crap. I'm not going to go to a weaker platform, and I think that's the thing. So I find it quite curious. If America was to say, well, we're not having this app, you can't use it anymore, we're going to make our own. Don't just assume everybody else is going to join you, though. So, I just think it's hilarious because when you actually look at it, you go, wait a minute, all of them are American owned. So this is one of the rare occurrences where another country has an incredibly popular app that connects a lot of people, and it's not owned by an American company, or has American influence. That I find really curious. And again, I think America needs bringing down a peg or two to recognise they don't get to control everything. It's the same way where they send their military in everywhere, and they just seem to think they're Rambo. Like, we'll go in, we'll change it, and they get resistance. And it's like, you don't always win. You have to realise that. You're going to have to start interacting and being fair with your neighbours. You can't just be the big bully in the playground and expect the world to just like keep budging over for you. It's like sometimes the world's just going to push back and say, now you've got a challenge, because now you have to start thinking rather than be the bully. And I find that quite curious. So I was hoping it wouldn't get banned, but I was hoping that TikTok would stand firm too. So it would be it looking like they're going to stay firm, and I'm all for that, because America needs to realise they're not the only nation on the planet, and they're not the police. They think they're policing everything. Again, there's not people; it's the governments. They seem to just think everything evolves around them. The world will cope fine without America. That's the thing; it will cope fine. It adapts. People just look more towards their neighbours. America's isolated in itself. If you actually look at us as a nation, you actually look. America is its own continent. So really, the USA, if you was to go continent based, Europe is far more connected to the rest of the world than America is. The USA is only connected realistically. It's if in landmass, it's actually connected just to Canada, and then you've got Mexico, and then you go down to South America. That's America for you. If USA wants to say, like, we're going to stick to our own area, and you're very isolated. That's very isolated. If you don't have ships and planes, you're really stuck. Whereas Europe, it merges pretty comfortably with the Middle East and over to Africa and things. So, yeah, America needs to be very careful, because all they'll do is push neighbours together, and sort of the European nations will just start to merge together, and it'll build their connections up. And I think that's the thing. And then you have less influence. So everything goes in stages and evolution and whatnot. So I'm curious by it, but yeah, I think the fact that America feels that everything should be owned by them is quite alarming in itself when you really look at it. You go, who the hell? Like, what the hell? How the hell can that work? If everybody had that same motto, then nothing can exist beyond anybody's borders. Just find the logic in it. America is fucking stupid sometimes, crazy people.